What's up, world? eCustom is here, and this is lesson 4 for free lessons for all ages and all levels right here on NGO Radio Terra's YouTube channel. Thanks so much to our friends down in Brazil at NGO Radio Terra for creating and fostering this incredible digital environment for music education, appreciation, and learning. Like I said, my name is eCussionist, aka Matt Vorzimer, and today we're going to be talking about a subject that every drummer says is near and dear to their heart, as they should, and every rhythm section player, in fact, every musician period, but especially rhythm section players, should be saying that time, feel, groove, and pocket are really near and dear to their heart and souls. This subject is incredibly fertile. It goes very deep. And I just want to start out by saying that everybody's definition for time, groove, pocket, and feel is different. Some people agree more than others about certain consistent definitions, but like music is a subjective art form, there are better choices than others. It's not about right or wrong so much. But in the case of drumming and in the case of time, feel, pocket, and groove, we have a wide variety of interpretation here in terms of what this is. So in breaking down what I just did was get into something that felt really, really good to me. The groove that I was playing, right? That's the groove. Those are the notes. I'm beatboxing the notes, and then of course there's what that turns into once I'm engaged in playing this pattern that I've agreed with myself to play. Is I'm creating a pocket. My focus is to make it feel good. And so that's when we get into the rather nebulous and mystical definition and idea of feel. It's very interesting because feel encompasses a drummer's expressiveness and it encompasses some of the emotional aspects of our well-being as drummers. It's really, really important to note that we want to be sensitive to the dynamics, which can greatly alter the feel. So I'm going to start playing with some metronomes, and we're going to lock in, and I'm going to talk a little bit about dynamics in regards to pocket. So what I was just demonstrating about dynamics was that depending on how loud a certain part of the groove is, it can change the feel. That feel and that groove contribute to the pocket. As I was turning up and down the hi-hat or the kick or the snare drum, almost treating my limbs like they were faders on a mixer, choosing to turn up or down the volume of any given part, I was getting a chance to play around with how it made the groove feel, and the more consistent I was with it, I could finally find a pocket. Again, we can find pocket within ourselves because there's 3 to 4 or 5 any given elements that you could generate just by yourself, and all those have some type of relationship to one another. And remember, pocket is that organic relationship that is created amongst the agreement of all the elements, just by nature of holding their own space within that particular structure. So I realized that the moment that I start, I'm all of a sudden creating relationships between each rhythmic part, and those relationships need to stay consistent if we want to start developing a great groove, which creates a great pocket, something that all the musicians can really sit in, hence the name The Pocket. Some of the things that I'd like to introduce to you are some ways that I've helped to develop my pocket. Work on locking exactly in the center of each beat. So behind the beat. And that little skip that I had to do to catch up with the beat let you know how far behind I was. Right? It lets you know how far behind I was. So now I'm going to treat the metronome as if it's an offbeat. This is another way to develop strength in your own inner clock. Another great exercise that I use is by grabbing a metronome app that allows me to mute a bunch of metronome beats. So I can mute percentage of amounts of beats on this app called Time Guru. So I've got it set to 116 BPM, and it's going to randomly mute 83% of the beats. So this is going to also help me strengthen my own inner clock, my own inner time. And of course, playing something in time is absolutely our job as a drummer. And in fact, time is super important because it relates to our ability to play steadily, and that steadiness enables for security in other musicians. That steadiness with your mastery over the groove that you're playing creates pocket.
3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 4, 3.
So I love that exercise because it really, really, really strengthens your inner clock. It forces you to stay consistent. It forces you to trust yourself. And I do believe that Rob Brown asked this question on YouTube, which was, "Can you teach pocket?" I do believe that you can teach music fundamentals. You can teach basics of drumming, and you can learn them so well that if in fact you lacked a certain amount of confidence, that is also a part of playing the drums. Part of playing time well is saying that it is here. My interpretation is boop, 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 boop. Rock with it or don't, but this is my interpretation, and being consistent in that, being consistent with the amount of space in between each beat, which is another thing I'm going to get to, space. But yes, confidence and the ability to really know that you know is a part of drumming, and you can teach that. And part of what I'm doing today is showing you all ways that I have greatly, greatly, finely tuned my own inner clock, finally tuned my own inner sense of time, finally tuned what I now know to be my pocket. And we all have different ways of accessing this. So it's super, super important that you find your own voice within that. So I think that we did a couple things. We played with the metronome by using it as a marker for playing down the center of the beat, right? Blending with it. Playing behind it. Now we're back in the center. Then we used the metronome as a device to strengthen our own inner sense of time by randomly muting beats by using Time Guru. Another really, really good way to strengthen your stability in changing in meters and changing the feel and still maintaining good time is by practicing an exercise like this with a click in all tempos. Do that in every tempo, and you'll really smooth out your transitions when it comes to fills and interpreting new meter changes. And lastly, I want to talk about a couple things and just drop these concepts on you, that you want to use space. Don't just play the notes, play the spaces. Use space. Listen more. That'll help you bring more space to the table. Um, relax. Relax. No matter how intense the groove is, try and come from a relaxed place. If you're not feeling relaxed, take the biggest breath that you possibly can. Sit up as straight as you can while playing, and take those big breaths. Take those big, big universal breaths, all the way from the bottom to the top, all the way back down again. That'll really, really help. What else? Discipline. Discipline, discipline. There was a moment when I was playing to the time guru that was randomly muting the beats, where I knew that I really needed to lock in and create the pocket and not move. And it's really important that you realize that even when you're playing with your metronome and it's just you and your metronome, locking in and keeping it there is the gig. That's the whole point. For those of us who can play outside of the metronome and then bring it right back, awesome, amazing. That's the next level. But the main thing people want you for is to keep it right there. So, again, feel is the more expressive sense of ourselves. Groove, the actual rhythmic pattern that you're playing. Pocket, the mutual agreement amongst all the musicians playing at any given time in an unspoken, organic, musical way. And time, the ability to keep your groove and pattern steady the whole time.
And for as long as they need it for.
Thank you so much. This is E-Cussionist. Thank you so much to NGO Radio Terra, Roland Corporation, Tamboro Drums, Prowell, and Icon Microphones. Peace and blessings. This is